Are you one of those service providers that you feel you have so much competition, there are gazillion other people doing the same thing or similar things as you do, and you really don't know how to stand out? Well, in today's episode is another Power of One framework students highlights, and her name is Michelle Mays. Let me read her bio for you. That she is a founder of Rene Michelle Events, and it's a full service planning and designing concierge for luxury weddings and special events based in New York. Now, when Michelle came to me, that she, just like a lot of all of my clients, have a bit doubt and less confident about how can she really stand out, how can she still work well this mission and calling that God has called her to do, that God has entrusted her to steward. Because her passion for weddings reaches beyond the glamour and the initial excitement, giddy laughter. That she thinks that your wedding day is a catalyst of your marriage. And she really wants to provide you, the bride and grooms, having a positive planning experience, because you don't want to start your marriage with the weight of unmet or unrealistic expectations. The other thing is also she thinks this is about honor, that her business is about honor. Well, why is that? Watch the episode and let her tell yourself. But in this episode, it's not really just about the wedding planning though. I want you to really hear about behind the words, or let's say between the words. We also ask a question like, why you choose this niche or niche, for my both UK, US friends here, and what is that unique mechanism of her service for her clients so she stands out so well. And also she shared the common challenge for service providers, not just the wedding planners, and so much more. So coming up for you in this episode. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you so much for having me.
When our own CCU members and a lot of people, they saw your website, they were so inspired because this is such a wonderful, how do we say that? Wonderful, not just look pretty. I mean, a lot of people anyway expect the wedding planning website look pretty, but I think it's just such a unique approach that you took because you have a process. First of all, in the introduction, I already, share a little bit about you, how awesome you are to the audience. But we always like to hear from the person self. That can you tell us that a little bit about your journey and until that why you even choose this very specific niche or niche?
Sure. So first, let me reintroduce myself. So I'm Michelle Mays. I am the owner of Rene Michelle Events, and I am the Chief Concierge for luxury wedding planning in New York. My journey is really interesting. It started way back when I have a family member who was getting married, and about 2 weeks before the wedding, she realized she didn't have anyone to assist with the church or MC the reception. So a cousin said, "Hey, what about Michelle?" And I was shocked because I figured I'd just be the guest. And from that moment on, I was like, okay, let me get acclimated. And I just dove right in. I just went right into the deep end, honestly, literally and figuratively. And it was fun. I felt comfortable. I was in the groove of everything. And then I thought, oh, this is nice. It's fun. I didn't think about it as a business opportunity or even something that I would do in the long term. Fast forward, I worked in corporate America, and I continued up the ladder in corporate America, became an executive assistant, still doing that as I build the business. But in that realm, I build on my organizational skills. I'm sorry. In that realm, I build upon my organizational skills, and I'm good at that and good at keeping everything in order and checks and balances. And then I started doing more events, and that would entail, being able to handle multiple people, personalities, likes, dislikes, needs, and as well as events for the team and getting involved in organizing that. But in doing that, I felt the desire for weddings creep up again. And I was like, well, what is this? What is this all about?
Yeah.
And I started journeying and walking along that path. And here I am today.
Well, I think it's so unique because I was in the corporate world for many, many years. So I understood what the true executive assistant, they do. A lot of time we feel like they are superhero, and they are also almost like all the intel center. If you want to know about the big boss or all the small bosses, that what they are about to do, or how can we be more careful under their daily weather, so to speak, quote unquote daily weather today, is just they have such a awesome, unique capacity and skills in order to communicate among all those personnels. So I think that is kind of God kind of just prepare you on that role and kind of sneaking in, as we know, Holy Spirit sometimes is very sneaky, and get you prepared for the wedding planning. And it's not just the regular wedding planning, but a luxury
Yes.
wedding planning. I think when it comes to the luxury, for me personally, because my corporate world is from the luxury hospitality industries. So for the guest or the consumer, when they look at the luxury in service industry, I mean, they enjoy obviously all the great services and all the amenity comes for. But we know as inside, walk inside the luxury hospitality industry, that means it's nonstop attentioning to the details, right? And also to see how we meet or exceeding the expectation for our clients.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your unique process in this wedding planning? Because I think, well, when people think about wedding, we know that there's a gazillion of things that you need to attend to. And then not to mention it's luxury wedding planning. So can you explain to us a little bit about your process and what it can do in each stage of this process can do for the brides and grooms?
So in my journey back into wedding planning, I say back into.
Back into, yeah.
There are a lot of wedding planners out there, and we're all great in our own right. But I had to figure out, and when I say figure out, get back in connection with who I really am and what I really enjoy doing and who I enjoy working with. And when I say enjoy working with them, they know what they want. They understand that there are gives and takes. But in doing that, I also had to figure out, well, how do I make it easy for them while making it easy for myself? So I have, with your help, Kelly, um, tapped into who I am, the organization that I have, the organizational skills that I have, and created EDR. And EDR stands for Engage, Design, and Reveal. And when you think about wedding planning, you think about weddings, that's what it is. You're engaging with your client, your customer, the bride and the groom. Engaging meaning they share their vision with me, and I then take in that information. And we take in that, or I take in that information via questionnaire, via conversation, and listening intently to the things that they say they want to have revealed for their wedding requires me just really honing in on into every single word. And then with the design phase, we go into what they said in the engage, be it the colors, be it the environment, be it just things that attract them and what they want to reveal. That's what we start to develop in the design phase. So we're bringing all of those elements together and envisioning what the day will look like. And that requires us sitting down, sketching out, or just pulling magazine articles or pictures, then meeting with vendors and suppliers that can fulfill that vision with whatever they have. Then finally, there's a reveal. And that's when I really hit the ground running, because on that day, that's the reveal, that's the wedding day, and that's the day where I'm the conductor, as
Yeah,
for lack of a
yeah.
better term, making sure everyone is doing their part to bring together that vision and making that vision cohesive and making that vision what the couple has envisioned in their own mind. So that means I'm making sure the chauffeurs are on time if there's chauffeurs involved, making sure the designer is there and pulling together the room and the ceremony, making sure the venue has everything together, and making sure the escort cars are lined up. So it's just the whole process of making it simple for the client to see and understand, and then not building, but making it simple for the client to see and understand, and then laying out all the steps that each part entails.
I don't know about you guys. Just by listen to it, I already feel tired. Meaning I already feel like, my goodness, this is so much to do. How can you not hire a wedding planner for your wedding, really? Let's take a step back. When you say the first at EDR, the first is engage, right? You mentioned.
Right.
I would say you mentioned you really have to exercise your active listening power. Actually, that's
Yeah.
one of the most important uh, capacity and skill as a coach we need to have. I will add, is that true though, Michelle? Actually, you also are paying attention the words they didn't say.
Exactly. Exactly. Because sometimes when you think about you're so excited with the fact that you're about to get married, and you have this grand vision and you know exactly what you want, but sometimes you don't know what you don't want. And what I mean by that is you don't know every question to ask.
Yes,
So you don't know every question to ask. You don't know how the things, or you may not know how the things that you do want affect something else that you want.
exactly.
So it listening is so key. I know we often hear, I know I've often heard we have two ears and one mouth, and
Yes.
we have the two ears, so we, double listening and speak one time, so yes, active listening is so key.
Yeah, and then your second stage is design,
Hmm.
right? You mentioned that obviously now after the engage with the brides and grooms, that we understand what they want, but now is to really put in the reality to connect with all the service providers, the vendors, to see whether they can provide the expectation that the clients want. And I think from there, what would you say the number one challenge in this phrase? What would you say? I mean, let's say for the brides and grooms, and also maybe for the vendor side.
I would say the challenge is from the bride's perspective, expecting the unexpected. So sometimes what we visualize isn't really going to materialize exactly how we visualize it.
Yeah.
Um, and that also, part of that has to do with, honestly, when you want to have your wedding. So I use my favorite flower, for example. I love peonies. I just do.
Me too.
But the flower has a short season locally, wherever you may be locally. So if you're getting married, let's say in New York, the season for peonies are May and June, and that's when they're in the fullest bloom. But if you're having your wedding in, let's say, February, March, and you just so your heart is set on that flower, then we have to then source someone who can import that flower. And that requires the bride and groom understanding that that's an extra cost. If that's something you must have, then okay, we manage that expectation, and then we meet with a supplier that will then bring in that flower. Sometimes the supplier will try to talk the client out of it, and not in a negative way, but in understanding the cost hindrances that it will entail. But if the client is willing to accept that cost, then there's a meeting of the minds and we move forward. So that's the thing, the challenge. One of the challenge, and I use that as a simple example, but
Yeah.
it can be much bigger than that.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I think even just that simple example, not just the money though, the
Mm,
time as well,
the
isn't it?
time,
Right.
exactly.
Because if you cannot get locally, that means, you have to import in, that means that require extra amount of time. And not just that, after the flower comes in, how can still keep them fresh and all that type of stuff. And I think that is just like Michelle said, that's this is just one little teeny example. Obviously, a lot of other items can go way bigger. Okay, then let's look at the very last step, EDR. So it's reveal, right?
Yes.
Because I used to work in hotel and as a on the other end, right? So I work with the wedding planner and with the bride to be to get them to the hotel to basically I'm one little part of that wedding. So I understood, I often see the wedding planner that day. I mean, you mentioned moments ago as a conductor. For me, it's like that day, your role have to be a whole lot more than that. It's like one moment you are the therapist to the bride who is freaking out, or the next one is like in those old movie, like I now came to me like a British movie, like they have this how they call that role, like a butler, like a chief butler or something.
Yes,
That
yes, yes,
person
yes,
have
yes,
to
yes,
like take care of every single thing that day,
yes.
and have to know the balance of when to be firm to tough, but when to be soft and or also be a coach or something. Can you explain to us that what kind of roles you had to play on the day of
And
the reveal?
so you said them all. I use conductor as a broad stroke,
Yes.
it's type of person. But yes, it's the therapist. Let's say, it, well, I don't want to use this example, but let's just say that I've had the experience where the flowers are late, and
Mm,
calming the bride down, and then getting on the phone with the vendor, like, okay, where are you? What's going on? Who can you get to make this happen? So you go from, like you said, this soft, calming person to this, not a dictator, but firm and authoritative and must get it now. But
right.
you have to do that with tact and what's the word I'm looking for? Tact and softness as well.
Yeah.
The saying, you get more bees with honey. So, even though, and I've experienced it, and I've seen planners who just go in charging. You may go in charging and get a result, but you'll never be invited with warm arms again to that venue or to work with that vendor again. So
That's the key.
you have to be firm, but you have to also be soft. And I don't mean soft and mushy. I mean soft in your approach, soft in what you say, and soft in how you say it. Because as long as you're firm and they hear the firmness in your voice, but they receive the warmth, you'll get whatever you need. You'll get whatever you need. So yes, the therapist, the umpire, the the goalie. You have to catch whatever comes your way, and block whatever may be going towards the bride, or even the vendor, and the supplier,
So like a
or the venue,
gatekeeper.
the gatekeeper. So you're, as a wedding planner, you're embodying all of these personalities, and it amazes me that someone who really, and I am that someone that embraces this responsibility, can still walk away saying, wow, I enjoy what I do. And
I mean, for me, you guys are the rare breed. You guys are the need extra dose of grace.
yes, and that's what it is. That's it right there, Kelly. It's grace. We're all graced to do something to bring forth the glory of God and His light. And as long as you're walking in that grace, it's all possible. It's when we step out of that grace that it becomes impossible.
Yeah. What do you see the common challenge in your industry?
I think one of them that I see is um, one of them that I see is from the wedding planner's perspective, doing everything. And when I say everything is where the plan, some have taken on the role of planner, then they may take on the role of a designer, such as an invitation designer. They may take on the role of, okay, then I need to do X, Y, and Z. I need to also practice floral design because when I'm not planning, when weddings aren't taking place, what else do I do to supplement my income? Or what else do I do to to show that I'm still out here, even though you're not planning weddings? And what has come to mind just now as I'm sharing this with you is those who think that wedding planning is easy and simple and, oh, I can do it. I just got married, so I can be a planner. And then they come into the industry and they charge a rate that is so low that people who don't understand what it takes and what a true wedding planner embodies thinks that, well, this person is charging so much money and this person is charging so much less. I'm going to go with the person that's less. But you don't understand that that person who is charging less doesn't know or may not know as much as the person who's charging more. Just because a person charges more doesn't mean that they're not worthy of it. You charge based on your experience, your expertise, and your abilities. And we invest into what we're able to provide.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so glad you pointed out. I think that actually that challenge is not only in wedding planning industry. I think we see that throughout other service-based industry. The often that my clients, which is happen, you are one of mine, and that's why I'm so super proud of this episode to invite you in, because well, this episode is one of those highlight, the Power One framework, the Christian leaders, how they really in real life and conduct their business, use the framework. Because the clients come to me or the audience come to me and say, Kelly, I mean, how do I stand out? I mean, I heard that all the time. But the thing is, they will say, oh, it's not possible for me to stand out because I already have so many other people doing the same or similar thing as I do. And I right away answer, say, well, just look at me, what I'm doing. Yeah, I try to go to find another business coach, marketing strategist. I mean, there are enough of the people out there, but I never have a problem to have a business, because we understand that, again, just like you say, we don't have to serve everybody.
Yes.
And that's where you just mentioned a lot of wedding planners, they thought they are competing with other wedding planners. But the true fact is, we don't need a whole lot of clients in order to have that full-time prosperous business, because God already have a tribe out there waiting for us to serve.
Yes.
It's just a matter of how do you position yourself, and so they can find you. Now, I also curious, want to ask, because in your website there is a paragraph, I think, under the about page. You mentioned, say, this thing you are doing, not just for the business, but it's about honor. Can you explain to us about that?
So I think that was part of my struggle. No, I don't think. Honestly, I know that was part of my struggle with embracing the wedding industry. Quite frankly, the wedding industry is very different from God's definition of what marriage and weddings are.
Mm.
So I know I've taken on and took it upon myself to study the entire historical backgrounds of weddings and why they started and what they mean to as in every day. But then embracing more and more of my relationship with God and Jesus and understanding the biblical. And I use that word with a little bit of hesitation because it's not just biblical, it's relational, it's life.
Hmm.
And so I struggled with balancing that because I never wanted anyone to be offended by who I am and who I represent. And Jesus never wanted anyone to be offended either, but he did what God told him to do. And through many people coming into my life and God having me speak into my life, I realized that what I am doing and was called to do is to help people realize that their union matters and their union is a representation. And that's why it's an honor for me. It's an honor for me to stand there as a representation of my client and helping them bring forth their vision because their wedding day is the start of their marriage. And it's the start of a union that God designed to showcase his love on earth. And it honor is what it boils down to. It's an honor
Yes.
to be part of that representation or that start of that representation.
Yeah, that's so good, Michelle. It's I think that also answer to uh, a question of a lot of Christian entrepreneurs. Sometimes they were taught incorrectly. They when it come to, for example, the relation between money, business, and
Mm,
holiness, right?
mm,
Some of them, unfortunately, were taught that say, okay, so yes, you go on business, you make the money, and then put the money back to the church, so that part is holy. But now when you are doing your business, not is secular, which is totally wrong, right?
right.
If you are truly called to the marketplace, that means whatever you're doing daily in your business is holy.
Yes.
It's a form of worship because you say yes to the Lord, and then you're gonna embark on this journey. And just like anything else, you're gonna have to do what it takes to move forward in this, to steward this calling.
Yeah.
So Michelle, what would you say if I ask you, say, what is your experience, kind of before and the difference between before and after went through this Power One framework, this process?
So I can say that everything I went through up to coming into connection with you was a process and a journey to lay the foundation. And I didn't understand it at first. I will honestly say that at first I was like, well, God, how come this didn't happen 10 years ago or 12 years ago? Because of all of the twists and turns, and it never felt right then. Something was
Mm,
always missing then, and I didn't understand it. And but God kept me moving forward. Then it was learning what now I understand. Then it was learning what the industry was and what it was about and how it functioned and how people within the industry function. But always knowing that I had a different voice and a different purpose, but feeling frustrated that I didn't fit in because I wanted to fit in. And every time I tried to fit in, it didn't work. Then fast forward, coming into connection with you and the Power One framework, I was able to be comfortable with my own voice and
mm,
not have the feeling of I was offending anyone or putting anyone off or disrespecting anyone, but I was comfortable in my voice and my lane and what God called me to do. So that's the difference. Being the comfort and the confidence in my voice and my lane and what God called me to do. And being a luxury wedding planner isn't this puffy thing. It's a foundational true purpose. It has a foundational true purpose.
Well, that's so good, Michelle. I mean, I cannot do better to wrap this up. I mean, it just is so much substance as what you just say. And I would just want to leave to, all the listeners or people watching us on YouTube that we try very hard to blend in sometimes. Don't you agree?
Yes.
But guess what? Funny thing is, we all admire and look up to those who stand out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, and God obviously told us that we are the light of the world. We shouldn't be hidden under the table.
No.
So for those of you that I want you to go to check Michelle's website out, which is in the show note. And Michelle, tell us actually that URL now. I mean, we surely put a link in the show note for their convenience.
Sure. It's Renee Michelle Events. So I'll spell it out for you. R-E, N as in Nancy, A-Y-M-E-S as in Sam, H-E-L-L, events.com.
Okay, as you can say, it did be mouthful. So guys, you really need to go to check the show note because I'm telling you, her website looks very different. And we are very proud and honored to be able to help her in this process. And just cannot wait to see that how Michelle, continue to strive from here and be that role model in the industry. So thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
How did you enjoy the conversation? I hope that from this episode, it will inspire you and take your mission to the marketplace confidently as God has called you. Before I let you to click on the next episode or next YouTube videos here in this channel, I want to remind you this. What I say in the episode, we try so hard to blend in very often, but ask yourself whom you admire the most. I would say pretty much 90% is those leaders who stand out. And God is saying it's your time to stand out so you can create that impact you were born to do. If you think it's your time to finally take this seriously, then I will invite you to go to kellybutler.com/learn. Again, that's kellybutler.com/learn. From there, you will get to access the free access to the Power One framework. And we also will invite you to come to the series of a free workshop in September, October, but only when you give us your email address. Otherwise, I have no way to inform you when the workshops are available. If you are watching us from YouTube, here comes more useful and practical business advice for you. If you're listening from wherever podcast is available, please go to kellybutler.com/096 for show note. There you will have Michelle's website and also all the goodies that we prepare for you. I will see you in the next episode.